The honourable member for Wellington Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, the Finance Minister said that the government would not crash through the deficit guardrail. The Globe reports today that all the Prime Minister's new spending is upending the deficit target and that finance officials view it as unwise and making little sense. Tonight, we vote on $24.8 billion in new spending. So will the Finance Minister tell us why we should vote for something that upends the deficit target, that is unwise, and that makes little sense?
Yeah, way to go.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I do look forward to tabling the fall economic statement in this House on Monday. And in next week's fall economic statement, we will show that the government is maintaining its fiscal anchor, specifically reducing the federal debt as a share of the economy over the medium term. In addition, I expect that the debt to GDP ratio we projected in the spring budget for fiscal year 23-24 will be met. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Wellington Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, the Globe also reports that the Finance Minister and the Prime Minister are at odds over all this new spending. It reports that the Prime Minister's office has viewed the Finance Minister as ineffective in communicating, and also stated that a senior Liberal said that the current dynamic appears to be similar to what happened to Bill Morneau before he resigned in 2020. John Turner resigned as Finance Minister in 1975 when he was at odds with the Prime Minister. Simple question. Does the Finance Minister still have confidence in the Prime Minister?
The Honourable Order. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Yes.
Order. The honourable member for Peterborough-Kawartha.
According to the Globe and Mail, the Finance Minister herself said the radical Liberal spending risks blowing past her promised fiscal guardrails. So she has a choice. She can break rank and join the Liberal minister graveyard, like the former Finance Minister Bill Morneau, or she can abide by this weak Prime Minister and drive Canadians off of a fiscal cliff. Which one?
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, what we are seeing from the Conservatives is an attempt to distract from the fact that when they have an opportunity to support a tax reduction for Canadians, they actually voted against it, Mr. Speaker. They talk out of one side of their mouth and do the absolute opposite all of the time, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are absolutely united in our support for Canadians. And over the holidays, we are proud to offer them a GST holiday to make sure that they can have toys and clothing and car seats and diapers at a reduced price for their children, and that's what matters to us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'm going to ask the honourable member for Barrie Innisfil, please, to not take the floor. The honourable member for Peterborough-Kawartha.
Mr. Speaker, you can't spend your way out of debt. The fact that the Conservatives have to say that to the Finance Minister speaks volumes to why we have record high usage of food banks in this country. She has a choice today, and everyone knows there's tension. She promised a guardrail of $40 billion, which in itself is outrageous. Bill Morneau, the former Finance Minister, was in the same position, and he wouldn't abide by that weak Prime Minister, and he quit. The question is, will she have the courage to do the same and stand up for Canadians, not that Prime
Minister? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the only people who are engaging in bullying tactics in the House are the members of the Conservative Party of Canada. Mr. Speaker, if they truly cared about supporting Canadians through these tough times, they would have voted in favour of the GST tax break over the holidays. But this is par for the course with those members opposite. They cry crocodile tears, but whenever it comes to helping Canadians, they oppose them. Whether it's the school food program that is already going to be supporting 200,000 kids across this country, the Canada Child Benefit that puts up to over $7,000 a year in the pockets of Canadian families, they oppose it. Mr. Speaker, we are united in our support for Canadians, and we will continue to stand up against those.
The honourable member for Lambton Kent Middlesex.
Speaker, the NDP Liberal government recklessly pushed through their costly temporary GST tax trick that's going to hurt our small businesses, and they're trying to buy votes with a $250 check. But the finance minister's own department called this over $6 billion spend, quote, fiscally unwise, and described it as making no fiscal economic sense. Because of spending like this, we know that the finance minister is going to blow through her $40.1 billion fiscal guardrail. So will she confirm that her deficit won't be a penny over $46 billion?
The Honourable Minister for Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises.
Mr. Speaker, this is coming from a member whose leader calls our government supports big fat government spending. When it's time to step up, the Conservative Party never steps up to support small businesses. We have cut taxes for small businesses from 11% to 9%, saving small businesses $6.3 billion every single year. We have putting more money back into the pockets of small businesses through our Canada Carbon Rebate. That's $2.5 billion going out to 600,000 small businesses across the country. We will always be there to support them, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Lambton Kent Middlesex.
Well, Mr. Speaker, you know Canada is about to be sent over a fiscal cliff when the Liberals can't even do basic math. Mr. Speaker, that's why tensions are rising in the Liberal caucus. The finance minister is as unfit to lead as her boss. Maybe that's why the Prime Minister is making unilateral financial decisions. So will the finance minister continue to go blindly and continue to put Canada decimate our economy, or will she actually show some leadership and stick to her $40 billion fiscal guardrail?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, again, on this side of the House, we are putting Canadians first.
That's right.
That is what we have done for the last 9 years in understanding when times are tough, we are there for Canadians. Mr. Speaker, what we hear from Conservative members of Parliament is that when times are tough, they look to take supports away from Canadians, not to be there for them. We will not allow that to happen, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue to be there for Canadians every step of the way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de Charlebourg, Haute-Saint.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, according to the Globe and Mail, there is more and more tension between the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance about ideas like this electioneering vote-buying effort to reduce or to remove the GST over the holidays. And even federal public servants or their own staffers are saying that this $6 billion cost is fiscally imprudent. We know that the Prime Minister has completely lost control over the finances. Does the minister understand that she needs to say stop to this Prime Minister's crazed requests? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Well, as we've heard from the Minister of Finance on several occasions, this is a matter of fiscal accountability. Because here in Canada, we have the best fiscal record of any country in the G7, including the debt to GDP ratio, the deficit to GDP ratio, as well as debt interest costs. Interest rates are going down. Inflation is going down. Employment is going up. What's really irresponsible is to do as the Conservatives are doing. They keep repeating that it's hard for Canadians to get by right now, but they're actually trying to make their lives even harder.